exam session for the baccalaureate students. We're going to be with you. My colleagues in the studio are Ms. Ula Al-Mou'i, English Language Supervisor, Tartus Directorate.
Hello.
Mr. Nimr Numair, Private School Teacher, Damascus.
Hi.
Ms. Hanadi Haddad, English Language Supervisor, Tartus Directorate, and Ms. Sana Ismail, English Language Teacher,
Thank you.
Damascus Countryside Directorate, and me, Abdul Majid Ogherli, Coordinator and Senior Supervisor in the Ministry of Education. We hope and we wish you good luck. If you go with us in this session, I'm sure you will feel satisfied in the end, and we will help you to get the full mark. At the beginning, we're going to help you do the answers to the first cycle exam, which was a little time before. We're going to start reading the exam paper and doing the exercises. After that, we're going to give you hints about grammar and about how to do well in the exam. First text, Ms. Ula is going to read it, and then we're going to do the exercises.
Okay, so the first text, read the following text, then do the tasks below. Many people leave their home countries for many reasons, such as economic necessity or economic success. In the early 19th century, the most important economic activity in Ireland was agriculture, but the farmers were poor and they used old-fashioned methods. Because they heard that they could earn 4 times as much abroad, some farmers immigrated. But between 1820 and 1840, the economic situation in Ireland deteriorated, and in 1845, the potato famine began. Disease destroyed 75% of the year's potatoes, which is the main food for most of the population. During the next 2 years, 350,000 people died of starvation, and there was a huge increase in immigration. By the end of 1854, a quarter of the population of Ireland had left for other parts of the world. The economic success of the 1860s and 1870s saw the Arabian Gulf countries transformed into wealthy states. The needs of the oil and construction industries led to a huge demand for skilled workers. Many thousands of people went to work there to help build high-tech cities.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ula. Our advice to the students, before they read the text in the exam, to have a look at the questions.
The questions.
Yes.
Because if they know the questions, they will know what they are going to look for in the text. Ms. Hanadi, read the first question, please.
Answer the following questions. Why did many Irish farmers decide to leave their home country?
So, why did many Irish farmers decide to leave their home country?
Because they heard that they could earn 4 times as much abroad.
Yeah, this is the main answer. But any logical answer is accepted.
There are
Like-
some other
Yes.
options.
Yeah, please.
Any logical answer.
Any
For example,
logical
because
answer,
of
yes.
economic necessity or economic success, because the economic situation in Ireland deteriorated, because of the potato famine. So any logical answer
Because
is
the
accepted.
farmers were
Yes.
poor, they thought they could earn money better outside or abroad. So any logical answer is accepted. Ms. Sana, second question.
Okay. Number 2, what's the cause of potato famine?
What is the cause of the potato famine?
Okay.
Please answer.
The answer is disease destroyed 75% of the year's potatoes, which is the main food of the most of the population.
So here, which is the main food of the country is optional. The main answer is disease destroyed 75% of the
But
potato.
it is not wrong.
Yeah, no, it's
Yes,
not wrong.
It's not wrong.
But we advise the students, when they add something, if it is irrelevant, more than one sentence, they will lose marks.
Marks.
Only one irrelevant sentence is accepted. If the sentence is relevant, it's okay. But we say, if they don't add it, it's okay. If they put it and it is relevant, it's better. If they add something irrelevant, One sentence is okay. More than one sentence, they will lose.
Marks.
Number
Marks.
3, what does the word in bold they refer to?
What does the word in bold they refer to?
It refers to farmers.
Yes.
Of course, this question is not mentioned in the scientific section.
Yes. But in the scientific section, we have only two
This is
two
related.
words to look for. Mr. Numair,
Okay, now find words in the text which mean the following. Number 4, to get worse, that means to deteriorate.
yeah.
Okay?
And if the student wrote deteriorate or deteriorated as it is in the text, it is
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
The second one, number 5,
5, very rich, that means precious.
wealthy.
Wealthy, we can accept it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is wealthy actually. It is wealthy in the
Wealthy, yes.
in the grading
Only
scale.
wealthy
It is
is
wealthy.
Okay.
The word you said, Mr. Numair, what was it?
Precious.
Precious.
Is it in the text?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
No, it's not in the text.
So it's the...
Yeah,
not
it's
in
no
the
problem.
text.
No problem. Thank you for saying this so that
Only
the
wealthy
students
is
know.
accepted.
yeah.
They cannot bring a word from out. Thank you very much for
It's not,
saying.
it's not out the text from the book, but it's here, just only
Yeah,
here.
I
just-
know that you
that's-
mentioned it to teach the students not to bring
Thank you.
any word from outside the text.
Yes.
Only the words in the text are accepted. Thank you so much for this addition. The following one,
6, the practice of farming, that's
agriculture.
Thank you.
Agriculture. Miss Ula,
Yes. Now, in this part, students have to rewrite these sentences about the text to correct the information.
so we need to correct,
To correct
and
the
we
information.
have two things
stick
to do.
to the
To
text.
rewrite and to correct.
Exactly. So they have to write the whole sentence. Otherwise, they may lose marks.
Yeah, if the student writes only the correction, he will lose marks. So
Exactly.
we need to rewrite and correct.
The first one, number 7, the Arabian Gulf countries had enough skilled workers between 1960s and 1970s. Now, in this one, you can see that it's about had enough skills. We can use the negative, or we can use the sentence as it is in the text. It's in the text like this. There was a huge demand.
Huge demand led for skilled
skilled
workers.
Skilled workers, yes.
Arabian
So
Gulf.
the needs of the oil and construction industries led to a huge demand for skilled workers. We can have it this way, or we can make the sentence negative.
We always say any logical
Is
Answer
accepted.
is
answer
accepted.
related to the text, it is
But
accepted.
they shouldn't use extra information
Yeah,
or
of
more
course,
than
of course.
the one needed. Number 8, over 500,000 people died of starvation. In the text, it's mentioned like it's 350,000 people. So they can write it this way, or they can say less than 500,000.
Yeah, either the opposite of what it is written over half a million.
over
We can say
500,000.
less
Less
Than
than
than half a million.
Or
people
as it
or
is
the
in the
exact
text.
number,
The exact numbers.
350,000 people died of
starvation.
Exactly. So
Thank
again,
you.
they have to write the whole sentence.
course.
It's rewrite, so they have to write the whole sentence.
Thank you. Mr. Numair, the second text, will you
Okay.
please read it?
So read the following text, then do the tasks below. Ancient Roman and Greek, or classical writers, had a massive impact on literature for centuries. Their highly structured verse and meter was admired and copied by many later poets, such as England Alexander Pope. Such as poets admired the balance, the neatness, and the technical perfection of classical literature. Other authors, however, wanted more freedom to choose their own ways of writing. William Shakespeare is one of the world's most famous authors and was appreciated even in his own day for using old sources in new and interesting ways. Like Pope, Shakespeare was inspired by ancient texts, but he changed them so that the plots became more closely related to his own society. He wrote some of the most beautiful verse and meter in the English language, but he was also a pioneer of blank verse. This kind of writing does not need the balance found in classical writing, which allows more freedom for characters to speak like real people. Shakespeare's works shows us some of the ways that English was developing during his lifetime.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is the literary section, and we are going to ask Ms. Hanadi to read the following question.
And this part, students should read the text very well, and then the answer is very easy. Choose the correct answer, A, B, or C. Number 9, classical writing is different from blank verse. Shakespeare changed the plot of ancient text to suit his own sweetie.
Yeah, so we have three choices in the first one, number 9. Classical writing is either different from, or the same as, or similar to.
Yes.
The correct choice is different from. And number 10, Shakespeare changed the plot of ancient text to oppose or suit or be different from. It is to suit.
Yes.
To suit his own society. Thank you so much, Miss Sana.
Okay. Match 2 of the underlined words from the text to the definitions or meanings below. Now here we have 3 underlined words. We should
Yes, so
choose
this is
one of them.
easier.
Yeah.
Yes, easy.
And any word which is not underlined is not
not
accepted,
accepted.
even if it gives the meaning.
Yeah. Number 11. Very large, it means massive.
Massive.
Number
So a student may write huge, but huge is not here, and it's not underlined. Even if it was in the text, but not underlined, it's not accepted.
number 12. One of the first people to
Raise
do
your
something-
voice, please, Miss Sana, and keep talking to the mic.
Yes. One of the
And
first.
same for Miss Hanadi.
Okay. One of the first people to do something, it means pioneer.
Pioneer, yeah. Pioneer. Miss Saula, we come back to you.
Before we continue, I just need to answer a student.
You have a
His
question?
name is Amir, and he doesn't know where he lost his marks.
Yeah.
And he's asking if we can help with that. Well, I'm not sure we can help with that. Maybe with the paragraph, maybe his writing.
We need to know the whole
Exactly,
answers so that we can check. If you follow us, and you will see what you have written, and what we will tell you the correct answers, and you can know.
Yes, exactly.
When you
So-
compare between what you wrote and what we are telling that it is accepted, you can find out where did you lose.
Okay, so
where you
if
lost.
you're doing the exam tomorrow, wish you all the luck.
Okay.
Now to complete the following sentences with information from the text. Now we have the first part of a sentence, and they have to complete the information from the text. In this way, they have to pay attention to suit or to complete in a correct grammatical way. To start with, poets such as Pope liked the classical literature because of its.
So we have
It's, so we
We're
have
going
to
to
use nouns.
use nouns.
Of course. The answer is the balance, so we can't use the because we have it, so we have to start with because of its balance, neatness, and technical perfection of classical literature.
So if the student put the, he will lose
He will lose
grammatical mistake.
Of course.
Mark.
During Shakespeare's time, English. Now, English, this is a subject. We have to look for, or to write, of course, a verb. So the continue, we have
developing.
to
Was developing or
developed.
Developed. Yeah, okay. So in the text, it is was developing.
So
the
it's
last
not only
two
about
lines.
knowing the information, they have to suit the information with the
So
beginning
I
of
think
the
this paper
sentence.
is very easy to students to write.
Yes.
It is very
Actually,
easy.
the exam paper is very easy for students to know the meaning of the words. The problem is if they don't know the meaning of the words,
Yes.
it will be a problem. This
So
is
the-
The
comprehension.
questions are easy, but the answers are not.
Yes, questions are easy, but maybe, but the answers are not. Can we move to the second
Okay.
page, Miss Lilian,
Thank you,
our
Amir. He's
brave
thanking us, so-
director for this session?
Allah for you.
Amir is
Second.
sending love, so.
Second page. This is a bit more difficult than the first one. Exercise 3, question number 3. It's going to be 4 parts, 15, 16, 17, 18, and this is functional.
Okay.
We mean by functional, it is not a main verb, it's not a noun,
Yes.
it's either a preposition or a pronoun or possessive
Auxiliary.
adjective.
Auxiliary
maybe
verbs.
Preposition.
Yeah,
phrasal
prepositions.
verb, Yes.
Okay.
But
Uh,
any logical answer is accepted.
Of course, here the students is free, but
Yes.
please raise your voice because Miss Lilian is keep showing
Excuse
me.
me.
her-
I'm
She
saying
wants
any
you to
any
speak up.
logical answer is accepted in this question.
Let's start with you then, Miss Hanadi.
Raise your voice.
Complete the following paragraph by filling the gaps.
Number 15. Gerbos
live in the Syrian desert
Here-
or our Syrian desert. We have two answers, the or
actually, the perfect answer is
The.
the. But after that, while we discuss the grading scale, we look at the equivalence. If it is logical, we accept them.
Like our, for example.
Our Syrian desert. But the best answer here is the.
Yes.
After that, if we find it okay, we will accept it, but we advise the students to keep to the best answer. Now,
Choose the- yes.
we're going to tell them the best answers, and we hope every student keeps to the best answer.
Again, the safe zone.
Yes, safe zone.
Stay in the safe zone.
So the Syrian desert. Ms.
They-
Sana, will you
excuse
continue?
me.
They are specially adapted to or in order to live in dry climates.
Yeah, since it is one space, if the student wrote two, is better.
Yeah.
But if he wrote in order to live, it is
It's
accepted
accepted.
because it is the same function. Ms. Saula,
Okay, they have very short legs. Okay, here we have many choices. We can say and,
And.
long back legs, but, as well as, plus, with.
yes. Mr. Numair,
Okay, so they have a very short legs and, for example, long back legs, which enable them, talking about gerbes, so enable them to hop quickly.
yeah. Here it is a pronoun, them. It goes to gerbos.
The
quickly.
object pronoun, yes.
Exercise 4, Ms. Hanadi, read it, please.
Fill the space with words from the list. Use each word once only.
So the first
We have-
one, the previous question, number 3, any logical word is accepted.
accepted.
But here in exercise 4, only the words in the list
Is
are
accepted.
Only the words in the list. So any word from outside, it's not accepted.
Satire is,
Satire
is
is
a
Now,
genre.
we advise, allow me just to help the students, to try every word in the space. Satire is a. Imaginary is not the word because imaginary starts with a vowel and a doesn't go, so we leave it. Is a society of literature? We
It's
don't
not
know. We
logical.
try. Is a death of literature? Of
No.
course not. Genre. Yeah, genre is the correct answer,
Yes, of
but the
course.
student can try all the words until when he is not sure, can leave it and go to the following one. Then he can come back to it until the student does it. But if the student knows the meaning of the words, it's very easy.
Very
And
easy.
also, excuse me, here, for example, we can't use have. So, and the verb, so we can omit it. So we can think in a grammatical way and also in, with the meaning of the word, and it will be correct.
Exactly. Thank you.
And the answer is genre.
Genre.
Genre of
Yes,
literature.
literature.
Miss Sana, continue.
Okay, not all satirists have the luxury of being able to criticize
Yeah, it
people.
is have. It is not death. It is not society. All satirist
Yeah.
society, of course, because all satirist is a noun. It needs a
That's
verb.
subject, yes, and we need
Needs
a verb, which
so
is have.
It's have. Have the luxury of being able to criticize, Miss Sauda.
Okay, now of being able to criticize people, or now we have to choose a word that goes with people.
Or is a
People.
conjunction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it will connect two similar things.
So people or society
Of course,
the
it's
correct
not
word.
people or death.
or death. Of course not.
Society, without fear, Mr. Numair, continue.
Without
please.
fear of the authorities taking actions.
Yes, taking action.
Against them.
Yes, Miss Hanadi, continue. Many satirists.
Many satirists criticize imaginary people from many years before.
Yeah, imaginary people,
Imaginary people from many
years.
years before.
Thank you so much. Exercise 5, Miss Sana.
Okay, complete the following dialogue by writing suitable questions or answers. Write at least 3 words for each question.
So here it is a dialogue, and the student needs to read the whole dialogue before answering.
To understand
Because,
the main
yeah,
idea.
the question should be relevant to the whole dialogue. So sometimes we may think as students that any kind of question is accepted, but to be precise, We need to look at the whole conversation
And then-
and to choose a question that follows up.
Okay. Here we have a conversation between, or a dialogue between Ruba and Khalid. Khalid says the answer, Hillary was the first person to reach Mount Everest. Now the questions are many.
So
For
usually,
example,
we advise the student to, if they are not strong enough, to change it to yes/no question.
Yeah.
Hillary was Hillary the first person to reach Mount Everest?
And then we add.
We delete Hillary
And just we
and
add
we
And
use
just
who?
we
Question
use
word.
use
question
the
word.
question word, which is who
was the first person?
to reach? We have many options. Who was Hillary? Who reached Mount Everest first? Who was the name of the first person who reached
was
Mount
the-
Everest?
Yeah,
What
all
was
these
Hillary famous or known for?
questions are accepted
Yeah.
But the
because they
best-
are logical. The best is who was the first person to reach Mount Everest? Ms. Saula, the
Okay,
following.
now Ruba asked the question, and the answer is he took part in the British expedition. The best one is to ask about the British expedition.
First, let's help the student.
Okay.
What tense is it?
It's in the past tense, past simple.
So when we ask using the past
We don't
tense,
have an auxiliary verb.
we use
We use did,
did.
because
So
it's in the
we
past.
need to know that we need to use did.
Okay, so we have to choose the question word first because British expedition, it's what? Auxiliary verb, we don't have one, so we use did. He, take, because we use did. So
The verb.
what did he take part in?
What did he take part in?
participate.
Part in is correct.
Okay, we can say what did he do?
What did he do?
Did you do this?
Yeah, of course. What did he do? He took part.
This is an
Yeah,
example.
General-
Of course, we
general
have different
question.
examples.
Yes.
Which expedition did he take part or participate in?
Any logical question is accepted.
Again, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Numair.
Okay, so Khalid answered, he started climbing the summit in 1953. Also, the tense is in the simple past, and we don't have here a helping verb or auxiliary verb. So we should use here did, because it's past. So we say, did he start climbing? And I'm asking about 1953, so I'm asking about time. So we use when, and the whole answer will be, when did he start climbing?
When did he start climbing? Yes. Thank you so much. And the following one is a sentence, and the
so-
sentence shouldn't be a cliche answer. Some students say, I don't know, and they think that it is accepted. It is not accepted. We need to write a full sentence,
That is
at
related
least
to the
3
question.
words.
With
Yes.
correct
Related.
grammar.
Yeah. So what do you advise a climber to do? Well, any kind of answer, but it needs to be a sentence, subject, and a verb, at least 3 words. Now we move to the maybe main question,
Yes.
because this contains maybe the whole grammar of the book.
So I think
Okay.
it's very
Causative
difficult.
have-
It's very difficult to the students.
Before we move, I know we're going to talk about the paragraph, but the student is asking why we accepted all tenses
In the
in the paragraph.
Yes, we will tell you why. Because until now in Syria, we are not as good as we hope to be.
In writing.
And since the writing is from the book, teachers, not all teachers, some teachers teach the students to learn by heart paragraphs.
To memorize, yeah, exactly.
They memorize the paragraph and come and write it. You will say that it is not your problem, it's not our problem if the teachers did this with the students, but we care for the students. The students are the role, the core of the teaching process. So we are not going to judge the students for the mistake of the teachers. The teachers tell them memorize, and the students will do what the teachers told them. Now, we assure you that we are going to solve this problem in the future. We're going to bring the composition in the future, God willing. I'm not sure.
Out from the book.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
This is our wish, to bring a composition from outside the book.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it is a will. We hope.
Yes.
Final, not final.
And we are going to solve the problem like this. In this way, some teachers will need to teach the students how to write.
Right, exactly.
If they taught the students how to write, students would be able to choose the exact tense, and at that time we are going to accept only the correct tense. I know that you are a good student, that's why you put it,
And he's
you,
writing
maybe
in English.
we took
good
your
language, good language.
smartness from you to give some marks to other people who are not as smart as you. You are right, but to be fair, we are not going to judge the students for the mistake of the teachers. But in the future, we're going to solve this problem by putting something outside the book, from outside the book, so that the teachers will teach the students to write composition. At that time, you and maybe, we hope that you're not going to be at that time, maybe the followers will be judged fairly to
And they
choose
should
the
be
exact
good
tense.
writers by
Yes.
then.
Exactly.
Can we move now?
Yes, please, of course.
28.
Yes, with the 28, we're going to start with the question that students have to rewrite the sentences as required in brackets.
Yeah.
To start
Here
with,
we have to rewrite according to required in the brackets. And we are going to tell the students. Now, we are going to do it, but we're going to explain the causative and the passive voice and the reported speech and wish in details after we finish the exam paper. So don't go away. Be with us, and we will tell you how to do it in details. But now we're going to give you the answer, and then we go back to grammar.
so far we
presentation.
have 4 sentences. One about how to make causative verb, the second one passive voice, reported speech, and wish.
And wish.
Yes, now
Usually we
passive
have-
voice, 29. Elephants have
28.
To
No,
causative
28
verb.
to start.
Sorry,
It
excuse
is
me.
the causative verb have. First, the tense. Always, 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 dear students, please, before you do anything, check
The
the
tense.
tense. What tense is it? Before you do anything, the tense is simple past. I didn't
it's negative.
prepare my computer. It is negative,
It's
so
negative
it's going
in
to
the
be
simple
positive
past, it's
have.
going to be positive. We use have and past participle. Have, pronoun, and past participle.
So I didn't
I
prepare
didn't
my
prepare
computer,
my computer
myself.
myself. I had, because it's past simple and in the affirmative.
Exactly.
So I had. What am I talking about? It's my computer. So I had it. The verb
Repaired.
past participle repaired. So I had it repaired.
Or I had my computer
Or I
repaired.
had my computer repaired. of
And
course.
the student shouldn't write myself in the
Myself.
answer.
They're going
He
to
will
lose
lose
marks.
Yes.
29.
Yes, 29.
Elephants have changed the natural environment. Makes passive voice. This sentence is about present perfect.
The
Present
tense
perfect.
is present perfect.
Yes, the sentence is present perfect. In the passive,
What is the object here?
the object, the natural
The
environment.
natural environment. So
The-
we put it
We put it in the beginning of the
at the
sentence.
beginning.
The
of
natural environment has been changed.
The
by-
natural environment has been changed,
Changed.
and here the agent is important.
Yes, by
So-
elephants.
And they
by
have to pay
elephants.
attention that it has, not have, because we
Yes,
have a different
yes.
subject now.
It's
Yes.
a
The
singular. The
natural
natural environment is
the
singular, so
natural
we use
environment
has.
is
Use has
Singular.
uncountable.
So uncountable. So
and
Or
uncountable.
singular,
Yes.
yes. So it can be singular and can be uncountable, and in both cases it takes verb
singular
singular.
verb.
Yes.
Students
Has
should
been.
focus on the object.
Yes.
course.
And when the agent, when the doer of the action is
Is
important,
important.
we must put it at the end preceded with by.
Yes.
by elephants.
By elephants.
Miss
by
Sana,
the object.
number 30.
Number 13,
30.
30, sorry. What's the address of the company? Now, we should use it in the reported speech. Reporting using she asked him. She asked him what the address of the company was. Here we change the order of the sentence. We make it affirmative form, not in
Yes,
the
it is no longer a question.
form, yeah.
And we drop the question mark and we go 1/10 back.
Back.
It is in the simple present. What's the address? It will be what the address, and the verb, auxiliary verb, goes after the subject like
Of the
any affirmative sentence.
Subject and verb.
So it is, she asked him what
What's
the address of the company
Was.
was.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
want to thank Amir about his comment. Thank you,
He's
Amir,
thanking us and sending loves.
about
Really?
his comment.
You are lucky, you and Miss Hanadi,
We
because
can
you
read.
see-
We are,
they
we
can
are
see
reading the comments.
The monitors. We have one in front of Miss Hanadi and one in front of Miss Ola.
So he sends
it.
love and thanks us for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, sentence number 31, it's about the grammar I wish. The sentence is, it's too hot to go out today. So here, always with I wish, we use the simple past because it's something not in reality. So we can say it was, and it's positive, so we make it negative, so it wasn't. Or I think it's more formal to use were here. So I said, I wish it weren't so hot to go out today. Of course,
Yeah.
we have many choices also we can say. Also, we can say it, as we said, weren't or wasn't accepted. I think so, so hot. Or it was cooler, or it were cooler to go out today.
So I'll repeat what you have said. We go one tense back. The present becomes past. The past goes to past perfect. After which, if the original sentence is simple past, after which it becomes past perfect. If it is simple present, it goes to simple past. And then we use the opposite of reality, either by making it negative or writing something opposite reality.
Reality, yes.
And I want to say something to the students. Some students think that when it is too hot, it must be so in the wish sentence. Not necessarily. You can use, I wish it wasn't too hot, it's okay, so hot, it's okay, no problem. And we're not here to discuss the problem of to and so, but both are okay, no problem. We move, whose turn? I lost the direction.
Just something to say. It's too hot, you can't wish to be too cold. I wish it were too cold, because you can wish for something to be cooler, for example. Cooler, it's okay, but
In this case, two maybe is exaggerated, because when we use two, it means more than okay. It's over the limit.
Exactly.
So in this case, it was so
no
cold.
one wishes the climate to be, or the weather to be too
correct,
cold.
but they lost the choice.
So now we can move to the completion. Complete the following sentences using clauses. Of course, we are talking about clauses, so subject, verb, etc. You should think carefully before. We need the subject. For example, before you make a decision.
You do a mistake.
Before you make a decision, before you make a mistake, before you anything, but we
But in
need
a
to have a
present.
clause.
In a present, because here we use the should, which is
Advice.
yeah, it's the past of shall, but here the advice in the present. So we need to use the same tense,
Exactly,
past, past, and present, present.
So our advice to the students, when the sentence is in the present, please complete it in the present or
yes.
future. If it is in the past, complete it in the past, unless you are strong enough to play on the word and tense, and you can give logical completion,
Different
mixing tenses. If you're not strong enough, keep to our advice.
Yes.
Okay, the completion should make sense, or he will gain 0.
Yeah, of course.
Even if it's grammatically.
Yeah, it needs to be
should be
logically correct.
33. I looked everywhere for my little, but
Simple past.
simple past. I will continue with simple past, but I didn't find it.
For example.
I looked everywhere for my letter, but I couldn't find
Find
it.
it.
Yeah, exactly. It's correct. Miss Saula?
Yes, now we can move to the between brackets. Between brackets, it can be like idioms, different terms, color idioms, for example, vocabulary. To start with,
Phrasal verbs.
Phrasal verbs. To
Maybe
start with
adjective.
34, I heard the door bang or
Adjective or
splash.
noun to choose between, yes.
Yes, parts of speech. I heard the door bang or splash. It sounded as if someone left in a hurry. So splash it goes with the water or something
Water,
like
the
that.
sound
So
of
it's
water.
bang.
With the door.
The door bang.
And this
Door.
is from their book.
Of course,
And
of course.
we have a big exercise about it. So it is the word bang.
Bang.
Miss Sana,
Number 35, a person is innocent or innocent until someone proves he's guilty. Now, after verb to be, we usually use the adjective. So the answer is innocent.
Innocent. Yes.
actually, not necessarily. Sometimes you can say he is a man, but when it is a noun, it should have an article because it will be countable. Or sometimes we can talk, it is oil. No, not necessarily followed with an adjective, but from the context. We always ask
The
the
meaning of
students
the
to,
sentence.
from the meaning, they need to know. A person is innocence or innocent. Of course, here it is.
I said sometimes it's followed by.
Yeah, I know,
adjective.
I know. I'm just helping the students not to get, sometimes they take what you said and immediately they choose. So you are absolutely right, but not always. It can be. So we need to know the meaning, and from the meaning, we need to choose innocence or innocent.
they
And we
can
can
think-
mention, sorry, I'm sorry, we can mention here that also the suffix, which is ence, also
noun.
just indicates to noun. So the student will know that the other word maybe will be an adjective.
Yeah, it's
So
a
a
good
person
idea.
is innocent. Of course, we have other
Like
suffixes like,
violence, violent.
yeah,
same.
also.
Important.
Yeah, it is helpful as well.
My advice is not to think in one way. They have to think in different direction. It means meaning and grammar, not only meaning
Yeah, exactly.
or only grammar. If
Yeah.
it's grammar, okay.
Both of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Number
36.
36, yes, the polar ice must be or can't be melting because the world is getting warmer. The point is that here we're talking about a grammar in Unit 5 in our book, which is the possibility. We're talking about possibility. So must be, this is the correct answer from the meaning, also from the sentence. So the polar ice must be melting because the world is getting warmer.
Of course, this is logical, and the student needs to understand the meaning of the word so that he can choose. Miss Hanadi, the following one.
37, Karam,
Yes,
put
Karam.
up with, made up a story.
This is phrasal verb.
Yes,
Put
phrasal
up with
verb.
or made up. The
To
student
stop
needs
me.
to know the meaning.
Yes, but I think it's very difficult to the students.
If they don't know the meaning,
Yes,
it's very
yes,
difficult.
very
But
difficult
if
to
they
the students.
prepare well before the exam, it's easy. Put up
Sometimes,
with or
I-
made up.
Made up.
Yeah,
The story.
sometimes we
Made
make fun in a classroom, so we say made up from makeup. So sometimes when you put makeup, you create a new person.
Story
So
or
that's create a
excuse.
story or find an excuse.
Okay.
But put up with, to put somebody, something on
Burden
you,
or
so you
something.
try to,
To bear.
to stand up.
Miss Sana, exercise
Yes.
9.
9. Correct the verbs in the brackets.
Correct the verbs in
In
brackets.
brackets, yes. Number 38. A huge earthquake caused the destruction of Agadir in the 20th century. Here we have a reference to the past, 20th century. So the only answer
So this is about tenses,
Yes.
and
An
the
action
student
happened
needs
in
to
the
know which
past.
tense.
And
Yeah.
the action
The
happened
only
The
in
action
past.
is in the
In the
20th
past.
century. It is in the past, so
Yeah.
we need to use past.
caused.
Caused.
It's the only
Caused.
answer, yeah.
A huge
An event that
earthquake
happened.
caused the destruction. Number 39.
The second one, the manager interviewed 2 employees since morning. Okay, we have since, so it's perfect. It might be present perfect simple or present perfect continuous. Both are accepted. So the manager has interviewed or has been interviewing 2 employees since morning.
Both are accepted,
accepted.
even though some will say that
It's
since
simple.
it is the focus on the number, it should be
Simple.
no simple. No, it's no problem. Both are accepted. Has interviewed or has been interviewed.
Maybe interviewing these 2 employees took the whole morning. So
Maybe. Yes.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. Mr.
Number
Munir.
40, by the time I arrived at the station, the train leave. So here the hint, or let's say the keyword is by the time. This is number 1. And I think also the verb in the past, which is arrived. This is the second hint. And here the answer will be with the past perfect. Also, this is what we call 2 actions in the past. The older one will be in the past perfect.
Yes.
So the train had left.
Yes. So we know that by the time is followed with past perfect.
Yes.
In the sentence, we are given the simple past. So it's
So we need to
easily
use-
the
yeah.
past perfect. Thank you so much.
41, she traveled to France next year for her master's degree.
Next
and
year
this-
is-
Yes, next year I'm talking about future or a plan in the future, so we can use will travel or is it traveling or is going to travel, because
Any future
we are
tense.
talking about arrangement in the future.
Yes. Now we come to the translation, which I hate, and I hope we abolish it in the
Yes, I
future.
agree.
So that no teacher would say we teach translation, so we
Exactly.
will
Please.
need to use Arabic.
please take it
God
out.
willing, we will not have.
Hopefully.
God willing. I'm not saying that it is a fact. We hope. We are working on it so that teachers will not use Arabic in their classes.
It's always there.
But since we still have it, we need to talk about it. Miss Ola?
Okay, to start with the one from Arabic to from English
English
to
to
Arabic,
Arabic.
and it's usually from the literary section
Or scientific.
supplementary or scientific supplementary. Many writers have attempted to imitate Hemingway's style of writing. حاول العديد من الكتاب تقليد أسلوب هيمنغواي في الكتابة.
Now we need to tell the students here that
Any logical answer?
usually the translation is divided into sections.
parts, yes.
Either 2 parts, sometimes 3 parts. And every part is dealt with
Individually,
separately.
yes.
So what you know, dear students, what you know, write it.
Write it down.
Because in the end, you will get marks for what you have written. So don't leave it. Don't say, I know half of it and I know it as a whole.
So divide the
because
sentence.
you will be judged separately into parts.
So they should divide the sentence, translate every single word, and they try to make
To
meaning
join
out
them.
of the sentence, yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
43.
Yes.
Translate the following sentence into Arabic, into English, excuse
Okay.
me. تساعدنا قراءة الصحف اليومية على معرفة ما يحدث في العالم. Reading daily newspaper or everyday newspaper helps us to know what is happening in the world.
Yes.
We can write every day instead of daily. We can write
Daily.
find out, discover instead of know.
Yeah. Any logical translation will
Is
be
accepted.
accepted. Any logical translation will be accepted, and the composition, we're not going to talk much about the composition. It is a paragraph. 70 to 80 words is accepted. Less than 70,
they're
you will
going to
lose
start
marks.
losing marks.
And the correcting is going to be divided into 5 fields: task
Punctuation.
response, punctuation and spelling, vocabulary,
Grammar.
So, if your composition is related to
The task.
the topic asked to write about, you will get the marks for the task response.
10 marks.
If you use correct vocabulary, you will get the marks for the correct vocabulary. If you don't have grammar or spelling mistakes, you will get full mark. If you have a lot of grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes, you will not lose the marks for the task response, for the punctuation and spelling, for the vocabulary. Now, Miss Lilian, let's move to first grammar PowerPoint presentation so that we help our dear students find it easier to deal with. We start with the causative verb to have.
Before we start, I just want to thank Dalal, because
Dalal.
she's thanking us, and I want to thank her back, just like that.
What did she say?
Thank you for your efforts.
And I want to thank all the students with us today.
Especially
No one put speak Arabic.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank
That's
you,
why
thank
I
you, thank
insist
you.
on
Very
thanking
proud.
them.
Very
Yes.
proud of our students.
So, why do we use the causative? Miss Hanadi?
We use the causative verb have to say someone had or didn't have something done.
So
And
either
this
have
can be
or
in the
didn't have.
present or past or future.
Thank you. Next, Miss Lilian. Examples. Now, we want to tell the students something. Sorry, maybe this time I'm talking too much.
No, no,
I should
You should talk.
have given you
Don't worry.
the time to speak. Again, I insist that students need to know the tense. Samir didn't repair his car himself. Didn't
Simple
is
past.
simple past.
Negative.
When it is negative, we need to use the positive have.
Yes.
So, Miss Ola?
So Samir didn't repair his car himself. In the causative, we have to pay attention to the tense. It's negative and in the past, and we have to use have, the pronoun or the thing we are talking about, and past participle. Here, because it's past and negative, we use had.
Yes.
It's past and positive. So Samir had his car repaired, past participle.
Samir had his car repaired. And if the student put himself, he will
Lose marks.
Yes. Mr. Numair,
Okay, so here also we have another sentence, but this is in the
positive.
positive one. So
Samer repaired his
repaired
car
his
himself.
So
It must be negative.
negative. So because it's in the simple past, we need to use did. And after did, we have the verb in the zero form, which is have. So
Yes.
we don't have any other choices. I mean, we can say, for example, Samer didn't has or didn't had. Okay, so we need to make it infinitive. So Samer didn't have the object, which is his car, and the verb, verb 3. So say, Samer didn't have his car repaired.
Thank you so much. Next, Miss Lilian. Can we move? Yes.
Reported speech.
Before we move to report speech, this sentence, which is in the simple past, it could be in the simple present.
Of course.
Negative, we use have. Positive, have or has. Positive, we use the negative, don't have or doesn't have. It can be in the future. So
Will
the
have.
student needs to look at the tense and to use the verb have either in the negative or in the positive, but he must use the verb have in the causative sentence. We move to reported speech. Miss Sana,
Okay, reported speech. We report someone saying starting with he said or he told someone.
so told needs an object.
Yes.
We go in the reported speech, reported sentence one tense back. For example, the present becomes past direct. For example, I am hungry becomes he said he was hungry. Here we have in
I am hungry
Yes,
becomes he said he
said
was
he was hungry.
hungry.
In the simple present, yes, becomes in the simple past.
So we go one tense
Tense
back.
We change the pronouns
Yes.
as well. I becomes he or she. We change the possessive pronouns. My
Actually,
becomes
we
your.
can help the student that the only pronoun that can be changed is I,
Yeah.
because he or she usually are not changed.
Becomes he or
Sometimes,
she.
sometimes we also, if they said, so
They
we can
said,
shed
yes,
into
we,
they.
yes, thank you so much, yeah.
Okay, possessive pronouns.
So first we change the pronoun, then possessive pronouns,
My becomes your becomes my,
or his,
or her, and so
and
on.
so on.
Everything
Near.
near becomes far.
Yes, so everything near,
Here,
when we
there.
report, becomes far.
Far.
This,
Here.
Next,
that.
Miss Lilian.
This, that.
Yeah.
Look, here becomes there.
There.
This, that.
Today, that day.
Mhm.
Tomorrow become the next day. Yesterday,
Or the following
day
day.
before.
Or the day
following
after. Yesterday, the day before, or the previous
Previous
day.
Okay, it's
Yes.
just a question, Mr. Majid. Someone is asking if we can, with the causative verb, use get. It's generally correct, but can we
actually,
use it?
it is correct, but if you look at the exam paper, in the exam paper, it is written use the causative verb have.
Using have, okay.
Get is not wrong, but since you are asked to use have,
You have to
get
use
is
have.
not accepted.
Okay.
But if we, yeah,
I think it's an important comment about Amir.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that we can use the verb.
I have a question.
it's
Is making me so
Is it true?
confused?
No, no, nothing
I
in you.
don't know where, not that?
Nothing in you. It's the
He
last one.
asked it.
About
We
get.
That
answered
we
yes.
can use the verb get in the causative?
No,
No,
No.
get is not
Yes.
accepted for the time being. In the future, we don't know. Because if you were asked, use causative verb, we must accept get. But since you are asked in the exam paper, use the causative verb have.
Yes.
So get, it is correct, but not accepted
not in the
because it
exam.
is not the target. The target is have. Yes. We move to reported questions. Ms. Saula, how many kinds of questions do we have in English?
we have two kinds of questions.
kinds.
Yes, no questions and WH questions. When we report with yes, no question, or with WH question, we start the question with he or she asked. Of course, he or she asked. After that, we use the question word when or where. And because it's not a question anymore, we have to change the place of the subject and verb. So it's he said, she said, question word,
She wanted
subject,
to know sometimes it's okay.
subject, and then we can move
What,
to the
Ms.
verb.
Saula, what happens to do, did, and does?
We have to omit it.
Yeah, we
because
drop
we,
them.
we
yes.
used it to make a question. So we cannot use it when it's not a question anymore. So here other auxiliaries go after the subject. If we have was or is or has with the past participle, so it goes after the subject. If we have do, does, did, we have to delete it.
Yeah, so what goes with the reported speech goes with the reported question. The near becomes far. We change the pronoun.
All the same. We add
same.
something, the inversion.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the inversion that we don't use a question anymore. The auxiliary verb goes after the subject if it is not do, did, does. Do, did, does are
Drop them.
dropped.
Okay, we can
dropped,
have
yes.
an example. Where do you live? He asked me where I lived. We cannot
Where I
use do
lived.
anymore. And we have, because it's live, it has to be changed into past. So where I lived,
Yes,
We omit the question mark.
of course.
yes, we don't have
It's not
a
a question anymore,
Yeah.
so.
Next,
Wish.
Miss Samaher. Yes, no questions.
Okay.
Mr. Numayr.
So in this case, we use if or whether after the
If or whether.
yes, of the phrase he said or he asked me. Sorry. So for example, we have an example here. Can you swim? So the
The
first.
direct question is, can you swim?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I need to make it as a positive sentence, or let's say affirmative sentence. So it will be you can swim. So we make a version because we have here an auxiliary verb. After that, he asked me. That means we should change the pronoun you into I. So and then we go back to in the tense. So it will be he asked me if I can will be could. So if I could swim.
So the pronoun after asked determines which pronoun to use.
Yes.
He asked me if I. He asked her
If she.
Like
No.
this.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, another question or another example. Do you speak English? As we said, or as we mentioned, we said that we make the question into affirmative verb. So do, does, did, we
Are
drop
dropped.
them. So you speak English. She asked me also, this is determined the pronoun you into I, and we use if because it's yes, no question. So the answer will be, she asked me if I spoke. And we don't forget the tense to go back from the present to the past and from past to past perfect.
Yeah. So she asked me, as you said, me determines
Yes.
that we need to use I. She asked me if I. We go one tense back.
Yes.
Do you speak is simple present. We drop do, and we go with the speak one tense back to the simple past. If I spoke
English. And here the last question or the last example, just we focus on the tense itself. We can note that it's in the past tense, past simple, and look at the answer, it will be in the past perfect. So between did and had done. So we say the steps from the beginning. First we drop did, and then me makes you into I. We use if. So he asked me if I, and the tense is past, if I had done my homework.
So we go one tense back. The simple past becomes
Past perfect, yes.
He asked me if I had done my homework. Miss Sana, next, Miss Samar, please.
Okay.
Wish.
Wish. Yes. Wish is opposite the reality.
So always wish is contrary
It's a
to
definition.
reality.
Yes. Wish is opposite reality. If the real sentence is
positive.
positive, the sentence with wish is negative,
Or-
or something different from the reality.
Yes, opposite reality.
Yeah. The tense with wish goes one tense back.
Again, like reported speech.
The same. The present becomes past, and the past becomes past perfect, simple, or continuous.
Yes.
For example, I am late.
I am late becomes?
I wish I wasn't late. Or I wish I was early. Here we have the sentence in the simple present. We goes one tense back. We make it in the simple past.
Thank you.
I was.
Continue. I
Yeah.
forgot about
I forgot
meeting.
about the meeting becomes I wish I hadn't forgotten about the meeting.
But, excuse me, do we have in the baccalaureate level that the past,
Yes.
from the past
Yes,
perfect?
yes. In the 9th grade, we don't have, but in the baccalaureate, yes.
Okay.
Yes, in this sentence, we have a simple past. We change it into the in the past perfect.
Thank you.
Hadn't forgotten.
Next, Miss Samahir. Miss Hanadi.
The passive voice, we use...
Before, I'm sorry, before for interruption, but also I feel that I wish it's a little bit related to F2. the conditional sentences number 2 always.
Unreal past.
We're
Unreal
talking about
past.
the unreal past always. We use if I were, so we can.
Yes,
we can
yes,
substitute
where
it
is
with I
accepted
would.
with all
Yes, here.
pronouns, like if, yes,
Like
where is
I wish.
accepted, where and was, yes, thank you.
We use the passive form when we don't know the subject or if you want to focus on the object. The form of passive, we begin our sentence with the object and the verb 3 or past participle of the verb. So in simple present tense, we put the object, is, are, and the past participle of the verb and complete the sentence. He eats.
So we have three steps. Number
Object.
1, we put the object
in the beginning
at the
of the
beginning.
sentence.
The
The
verb
main
goes
verb.
to verb 3 with all tenses. So the object and verb 3 move
Fixed.
with all
The order
tenses.
is-
Yes.
The difference is only in the verb to be. In the simple present tense.
Is, are.
Yeah. Next, Ms. Samahar, please. Yes. In the simple present, we use am or is or are.
Yes, he eats an apple. Active sentence. We will change to passive. An apple is eaten. Apple is an object. Is verb to be. Eaten past participle. We should focus on the verb to be. If we
Yes.
want to say
the
he
subject
eats
is
apples,
definite.
he eats apples. We say apples are eaten.
Yeah. And if the subject is an important thing, like a proper noun, Sam, it should be written at the end, preceded with by.
By Sam.
Apples
Yes.
are eaten by Sam.
But if the student didn't write it,
He
so-
will lose. If the
He will
agent
lose
is
mark.
important,
He will lose
Okay.
mark.
if the
Okay.
agent is a proper noun and the student didn't write it, he will lose
Lose
marks.
mark. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's why we say, even if it is not important, if you
Write
write
it
it, you will not lose.
Yeah, exactly.
But
But
if
if
you
you don't,
didn't,
you will
may
lose.
just keep on the
Lose
safe
marks.
side or the safe zone, as Ms. Ula
I like to call it
prefers
safe
to
zone.
say it. Ms. Sana,
Simple
Okay,
past.
simple present tense. We put is,
yeah, we
are.
finished this.
Yeah,
Next,
we
Ms.
finished.
Samahar.
Next, please.
Yeah, simple past
Yeah.
tense.
Simple past tense, we put was or were. For example, he ate apples. Apples
Apples.
were eaten.
Yeah,
we
apples
change-
became the
Yes.
beginning, the subject.
Now, we change the verb to be according to the object.
Yes.
Now, present continuous and past continuous, we put being after verb to be. For
So
example,
we use being.
yeah, being. He's eating an apple. An apple is being eaten.
Yeah.
Tom was eating apples. Apples were being eaten by Tom.
So when it is an apple, is
Yeah.
being. When
But
it
when
is
it's apples,
apples,
were.
we use
Were.
plural. So the
Yeah.
object determines
The verb.
what verb to be to use. If it is singular, we use is or was in the past. If it is plural, we use are or were in the past.
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Majid, most of students think that passive voice is very complicated. But,
Complicated?
yes, but I think, as you said, we write the object and the past participle, and then we will change the
Yeah,
verb to be.
between them, verb to be.
Yes.
Somehow causative verb is in a way or another like the passive voice, but in the causative verb we use the have, we change it based on the tense
Yes.
and the past participle.
Okay.
With the passive voice we have be to change it based on the tense
Exactly.
and past participle.
Thank
Exactly.
you. Next, Ms. Samahar. Mr. Numair.
Now we're talking about the present perfect and past perfect. Here we put been after verb to have or been. So if we said he has eaten apples, always, Mr. We say about passive, I always say that we need to use be plus verb 3. So because we have the have and has, I mean the perfect tense or had, so after them we have the verb 3 of be, which is been. So be eaten, apples, and then we have. So here it will be apples have been eaten. And also in the second sentence, had, so it will be been eaten. So an apple had been eaten by Sam, which is the subject.
Thank you. So students need to notice that he takes has. But when apples became at the beginning, it is plural.
So-
That's why we said have.
Have, yes.
And been follows verb to have according to the object. If it is singular, has. If it was an apple has been eaten, here it is apples, plural, have been eaten. Next, Ms. Samar, please. Future with Ms. Ula.
With the future tense, of course, we have will, and after will we have infinitive. So it's going to be will be, and as usual, will be past
Actually, all
participle.
auxiliary verbs have the same way in making
be,
passive. We
can
use
be.
be after them.
Can be,
Exactly.
etc.
Should be, will
example.
be, must be. Yeah.
He will eat apples. Apples will be eaten, so it doesn't change. No matter what the subject is going to be, it will stay the same, will be past participle. This is in the future tense. So he will eat apples, it's going to be apples will be eaten. Sam can eat a lot of apples can be eaten. Tom must eat apples, apples must be eaten. So it's always the same, infinitive.
And in the passive voice, we don't go back one tense.
No,
No,
we
of course
don't.
not.
Of
It
course.
is present, present, past, past, future, future.
Here
Wish,
it's like,
reported speech.
like a formula. We have modals plus be plus past participle. So this is what we call passive with the modals.
And the student should focus on the object.
Yeah, of course. But maybe it can be used, for example, with the missing words. So it kind of hint just to write it.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Next, Ms. Samahir, the use of
The.
It is important for the students, for the functional missing words, to
missing
know
word.
when to use the. Ms. Ula.
To start with, we only have one thing, the sun, the moon,
Yeah.
the sky.
The
So when
earth.
it's only one thing,
When we
The
have one
earth.
thing in the universe,
it's only one, so
or
we
in
use
the country,
the. In the country, we can call it like a reason of locality, like
Yeah.
the prime minister,
Minister,
the teacher in the
teacher in the
classroom.
classroom.
So only one by reason of locality. When it's mentioned for the second time, for example,
Yes.
I bought a car, the car is red. So this time it's mentioned for the second time, the car is red. With a noun which has become definite by the addition of a phrase, the man who is standing over there. This is the girl in blue, the man who answered the phone. So in this case, we should use
I will
the.
continue.
yeah. Yes, I will let you continue, but I will help the students in brief. If you put the, as a student, if you put the, and you found that a question, which one will be raised, so that is not correct.
Not correct.
If it is clear for the listener the thing you are talking or the speaker is talking
He
about,
understand what you
we
are
use
talking.
that. When I say, I bought the pen, the listener will say, which pen? So if the listener is going to say, which pen, that is wrong. But when you say, as you said, I bought a pen, the pen is red,
Second time.
it's clear. Because I mentioned it before. Next, Ms. Samahir and Ms. Hanadi wants to
With the
give
musical instruments after the verb play. For example, she plays
the piano.
the piano. With
Superlatives,
superlatives, the best. When
The
I
most.
when
The most.
when I say you are
The most
the
beautiful.
best colleagues.
Thank you.
The most, my country is the most beautiful in the world. With names of countries which consist of
More
more
than
than,
one
one word, the United Kingdom, the United States, the United Arab Emirates.
Next, Ms. Samahir, use of a and an. Mr. Sana, you haven't talked. I said Mr., right? Miss Sana, just for making you laugh because I feel that you got tired. You hate to be Mr.? Yeah, okay.
The use of a and an. A with the consonants and with vowels.
Yeah.
The vowels in English are 5, we all know them. With singular countable indefinite nouns of which there are more than one and mentioned for the first time. For example, a boy, an apple, a car, an umbrella. Number 2, with professions. We mean by that jobs. A teacher, an engineer. Number 3, to mean pair. For example, 5 pounds a kilo, 15 kilometers an hour. Number 4, with meals when preceded with an adjective. For example, I had a delicious breakfast.
Yes, because with meals, we don't usually use an article. We say, I had breakfast. But if we add an adjective to the meal, we use an article. So we say, I had breakfast, but I had a delicious breakfast. Next, Miss Samahar, please. We finished.
Yes.
You told me that final. Can we move to the next presentation? Until you do it, do we have any questions?
No, not yet.
No.
Not yet. Anybody is thanking us?
All
Yes.
the time.
All students thanks us.
With love
And
and
I
thanks.
thank
us,
you
yes.
very much for being with us.
Thank you, teacher.
Actually, the following presentation is going to be about tenses.
Simple present.
Students think that only the tenses mentioned in the baccalaureate book are needed. But we say no.
Big mistake.
All the tenses are needed in the baccalaureate because it is the end of level 2B.
They are
Level
connected.
2B,
We cannot
yes.
separate between them.
So we are going now to help them have a look about the simple present tense, about the simple past tense, the present continuous, the past continuous.
Present perfect,
And the rest, yeah.
present perfect,
Yes.
continuous, past perfect.
If we start, now we are not going, we are not going to make it complicated. What we need now with the students is to know the form of the simple present first. I speak English. I go to school. I play football.
Basketball.
He
Plays.
plays. He
Goes to school.
goes. She, it depends. So we add S. We add S
To the verb.
to the
yes.
verb
In the present.
with
In
he,
the
she,
affirmative.
He,
it.
she, it.
And we add ES, not S, if the verb ends
Ends with
in
CH,
CH,
X,
X,
SH,
Z, O, Z, O.
Can I take the flash because we have a problem?
Okay.
We want to open it. Yes. I will repeat.
S.
We add ES instead of S when the verb ends in S.
S,
Double S.
SS.
SH,
SH.
CH,
CH.
X,
X.
Z,
Z,
O.
And O.
and O. We add ES. This helps
like
us
a
in
brush,
writing.
brushes,
Finish.
Finish,
finishes,
finishes.
Go.
Goes.
Goes. Dress,
Etc.
dresses.
Yes.
Do,
Fix,
does.
fix.
Yeah. And we want, as students, to know in every tense how to make a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the simple present tense, we use do,
Do
Does.
or
or
does.
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 According to
Do.
the subject.
This is very important because in the dialogue exercise, we need to know how to make a yes-no question.
Or
Then
WH
we
question.
delete the answer
answer
and
and
put
put
one
WH
at the
question.
bottom, and we put a WH question.
Yes.
You can move, Ms. Samahir, to the following slide because we already
And
talked about
we can
it.
ask by is.
Yes, if
Yes.
we already,
Is.
if we already have an auxiliary, of course we use
Yes.
it.
Or
But in the
can.
simple present tense, we usually, most of the verbs are used without an auxiliary,
Main verb.
except the only verb can be used in the simple
Verb to be.
present is verb to be.
Verb to be, yes.
But most of the verbs are used without verb to be.
Yes.
So we say, I speak English, I play football, I go to school, I practice, I do.
Get up
like this.
early.
I make. That's why we say we use do or does. This time, Ms. Samahar, you need to go pressing on next, next, next until
Okay.
we move.
Until she does that, there
Because
is,
it is animated, yes.
we have a
We
jam.
finished this. Again, next, please. The question form. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
No,
before
the
we
question
continue,
form.
please, we have a Jan. I can understand that she or he didn't do well in the exam, but
Difficult comment.
yeah, but his or she is thanking us, and they love us. So,
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much.
and
Thank
sorry you
you.
didn't do well in the exam. So,
Is it clear if Jan is a male or female
no,
name?
it's not.
No,
It's Jan
because,
Nabo. So,
Yeah, okay.
your English is good. She is saying your
but
English. I
he or
love to
she
hear
is
you.
telling us that the exam wasn't fair. So I can understand that he or she didn't do well. So, wish you the best in the next exam, or maybe or in the
Yes,
future.
Thank
in
you,
general.
Jen.
Yeah, good. So we hope you be with us in this session, and we hope
It's helpful.
that you were with us from the beginning. We hope that you have been with us until now. I use 3 tenses, one with an exact time in the past,
Male, he is male.
and one with until now to show that we can use the simple past with an exact time in the past, until now goes with the simple, with the present perfect. And now what we are focusing on is the making
Question.
of question,
And tenses.
because you need it in the exam.
Yes.
In the simple present, we use do
Does.
or does plus zero form. Always when we have an auxiliary verb, we use zero form,
Yes.
Yes.
not verb one. And some students sometimes say does takes the s. Not necessarily.
No, it's not.
Because can does not have s, and we use zero form. Next, Ms. Samaher, please. The negative form is not as important as the question, but
Don't
we
and
use
doesn't.
not after do or
We need it,
doesn't.
of course.
Don't and doesn't. And the infinitive, and then the complete
The sentence.
of the sentence.
Yes. Next, Ms. Samaher. The use. First use is Ms. Ula,
Habits.
habits.
When we have habits, something we do every day, this is habits, we use present simple.
In this case, we use frequency.
Frequency
Like
adverbs.
always, usually, sometimes, often, near, never, seldom, etc.
A lot of times, I ask students about, do you know frequency adverbs? They say no,
But they know.
but they
do.
know that
They
they
use-
are all,
they
they
use
don't know the name.
The name,
They
exactly.
use them
But
without
Maybe
knowing.
if you tell them
Don't know
the
the-
name in Arabic, they're going to recognize it.
So usually, always, sometimes,
Sometimes, never,
often, never,
frequently,
seldom, generally.
seldom.
Every adverb that shows frequency.
Frequency or habits,
habit.
routine,
Next, Ms. Samaher,
facts.
facts,
The earth goes round the sun, this is a fact. With facts is
scientific fact.
or state verbs. I see a bird. I can't say I am seeing a bird because it's state verb.
State
It's
verb,
not action verb.
action verb.
Involuntary. If the
Involuntary.
student doesn't know how to distinguish between state verbs and active verbs, if the verb happens without any effort
action.
from the
No
speaker,
action.
it is a state. So when you see, you don't make any effort. When you hear, when you love, when you hate, but when you read,
When you
you
believe
make
in
an
something.
action.
He do
When
an
you
action,
listen,
Yeah.
yes.
So if you don't do any action to achieve the meaning of the verb, it's state.
State verb.
Next, Ms. Samaher, present. So here are, again, move next because we want the present continuous. Next, the present continuous. Yes. We have affirmative case, we have question
Narration.
form, and we have negative form. Mr. Numair,
Okay, so with the present continuous tense, the affirmative form, we use always with a continuous verb to be and plus verb ing. So subject, is are, that's in the present, plus verb with the ing and the complement of the sentence. For example, we can say, I am playing football, and she is reading a book, and we are studying. Now, if you want to make a question, it's very easy here to make a question. We don't need any other verbs outside the sentence. So we need to use the helping verb, which are is, are. So we make a version between the subject and
we
the...
invert. We invert them.
Oh, okay. And for example, we say, are you playing football, or am I speaking quickly? Is he playing football? Are you studying? That's the questions. Now, for the negative, also we have in this the same form of the sentence, but just we add not to the helping verb or to the auxiliary verb. So we say, for example, subject, is, are, not verb with the ing, always.
It's very
Next,
easy.
Ms. Samaher, Ms. Hanadi.
The use to express
The
that
use.
the action is happening now. We use now, right now, at the moment, at the present, today, tonight, this week, this month, this year. I'm watching a film now with incomplete actions. She is writing a book.
So
And-
the main use of the present continuous tense
Something
is something
is
happening
happening
at
now.
the moment of speaking. This is the main use.
Temporary.
The second use is with incomplete actions. Incomplete actions are always continuous.
Maybe she
Past
is
continuous,
writing it.
present continuous, or future continuous.
She is writing a book. Maybe she is writing a book in this year.
Yeah, maybe it takes a year to finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of the future tense,
When we
when
have
we talk
arrangement.
about arrangements, personal
Plans.
Plans.
we are visiting my aunt next week. We arrange to visit our
Yeah.
aunt. With
Temporary
temporary action,
actions.
I'm living in
Temporary.
London now, but I'm Syrian, I'm a student here. Temporary
So,
action,
a
temporary
Syrian
action.
person says, I live in Syria. But this Syrian, if he is for studying in Britain,
England, for
he can say,
example.
I'm
Even if
living.
it's for 4
Or-
years.
Or if
Even
you
for 10 years, it's temporary, it's not
Temporary.
forever. We can use the continuous form. Next, Ms. Samaher. the simple past
Simple
tense, Miss
past.
Sana, you're going to sleep.
Yeah. Simple past
By the way,
tense.
you're
Did I
going...
say Miss or Mr.?
No, مثلا.
And
Miss
by the way, here you're going to sleep. That's kind of future, and also you can say you are sleeping. So that's what we are talking about, the present
But present
continuous for
continuous.
future.
She's sleeping now.
Yeah.
And she's going to sleep after 2 minutes, or she slept already before I asked her.
Thank you for the tenses and for a good example.
Okay. Simple past tense. With the affirmative form, we start with the subject plus verb to plus complement. For example, I went to school yesterday. She played volleyball last Monday. In the question form, we start with did plus
use
subject.
did.
We use did, yes.
So I want you to concentrate on the question form.
Yeah.
In the simple past, we use did. Miss Hanadi may say if we have is or was, we can use it, yes.
Yes.
But mainly we use did to ask questions in the simple past tense. Yeah, continue.
Did plus subject plus infinitive plus the complement.
We mean by infinitive zero form
Yes, zero
or the
form,
base
yes.
form.
It's very
Not
important to
verb
put
one.
The
zero
base
form.
form.
Yeah, for example, did you play football last Monday? Did she see the film before?
Yes.
In the negative form, we start with subject plus did, plus not, plus infinitive, plus complement. For example, I didn't or did not play tennis yesterday. He didn't go to the cinema with me.
Just let me say something about, now we are talking about the yes-no question. The question, did you play football last Monday? If we want to make it WS question, we can delete last Monday and we put at the beginning before
When.
did,
When.
when.
Okay.
When did you play football? If we want to ask about football, we can say, what did you play last?
what did you do
what did
last
you do is
Monday?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Next, Ms. Samaher, the use of the simple past tense, Ms. Ula.
Okay. With the use, we express a single action that happened and ended in the past.
This
so
is
it's
the main
over.
use.
Happened and ended.
And we must have time reference.
Exactly, ago in 2002, etc. For example, we saw that film a week ago, so it's week. We have time reference like yesterday, last week, last Sunday, etc. So the second use is that happened that was frequent in the past. Like I swam in the river every day. Some students make mistake by thinking that every day is only used
Habitual
with
action in the
present
simple present.
No, it's not always present simple. It can be used in
Can
the
be
simple
in-
past when it's a habit in the past.
The
yes.
past.
Third use is unreal past. She speaks as if she was an adult because
If
it's
is
unreal.
conditional, yes,
It's
conditional
unreal, so
sentence.
we use simple past. When a second conditional with the second
What
conditional.
type of conditional is this?
Second
As if-
conditional.
Second conditional.
Second
Thank you
conditional.
so much.
If I were or was rich, I would buy a big house. It's unreal situation, so we use the simple past.
Thank you. Next, Miss Samaher. Miss Hanadi, past continuous.
Past continuous tense, affirmative form, subject was where, verb ing, and the complement of the sentence. We put the past of is and was, and the past of are were. But we don't change the verb ing between simple present continuous and past continuous. I was having dinner when you phoned it. The boys were playing football when the bell rang.
Here we are talking about
We are
interruption.
two action. We are one action interrupt the another action. The past continuous happened at the first, and the simple past interrupted the past tense, the past continuous.
And here, sorry, we can use also another word which is while. So
While.
when and while.
While, yes.
So but the point is that after while always we have the past continuous. So we can say while I was having dinner you phoned, okay, but I can't say I was having dinner while you phoned. Is right?
Yeah, while
And
goes
I
with the
can-
past continuous. You
Yeah.
are right.
Yes, Mr. Majid, I can say I was having dinner when when you phoned. Yes.
Yeah,
Question
it's
form
okay.
was
Or
where,
plus
subject, verb
subject
ing.
plus verb ing.
Yes.
Were you studying when I
Was
found
he
you?
watching a film?
Was he
Negative.
watching a film? Yes. The
Yes.
negative,
we put not before, after,
After.
was, and where.
Where?
I
Yes,
wasn't playing.
Yes, Mr. Majid, can I say the boy were playing football when the bell was ringing? Two action happening
Yes,
in, it happening, I'm happening at the same
And
time.
we are going to talk about in the use.
Yes,
Yes, you are in a hurry. Yeah, you can.
because I am
Pause.
clever.
Yes, you are very smart. Next, the use.
So-
Mr. Numair.
Okay, so the use of the past continuous tense. So number one, to show that the action was in progress in the past. For example, we say we are studying all day. We were studying all day yesterday. Number two, to talk about
Just let me
Yeah.
say something. All plus time means continuous.
yes.
All plus time means continuous in the past, in the present, or in the future.
Okay, and sometimes also if we use, just to complete the, if we use all with a sentence without any specific time, we can use the present perfect continuous. So we can say, for example, we have been studying all day. So
It is continuous again. I
yeah,
said
yeah, of course, yeah,
it's
but
continuous,
just, but,
present,
but-
past,
yes.
or future. Present perfect is in the present, actually.
yeah.
Yes.
But here, because we have yesterday,
But thanks
just
for the clarification.
Thank you, teacher. So number two, to talk about two actions in the past. The first was in progress and was interrupted by another action. We put the first in the past continuous tense and the one which interrupted it in the past simple. Now, the example is, we said about the example, like when we said he was studying when he
Yes.
phoned. So to show, number three, to show the action that was incomplete in the past.
Yes. Next, Ms. Samaher.
Let's compare between two sentences here. I read a book on the phone, on the plane.
On the plane.
Yeah.
I finished it.
So I finished it. But I was reading a book on the plane. That means
I didn't finish it.
I didn't finish it.
When the action happens quickly, we use simple past, not the past continuous.
Uh-huh.
Like
Like,
bee stung me last week. You cannot
Okay.
say a bee was stinging
Like he had
me
he broke
because the verb sting happens in a second.
yeah.
Doesn't take time. And with state verbs, I think what I told you that you will see is not mentioned, so you are right. We can use two continuous
While I
past
was,
continuous
sleeping.
tenses going together. While I was sleeping,
He was watching TV.
my friend was shouting.
At the same time.
Yeah,
The
my
same
roommate.
All
while,
the time?
While I was sleeping in the morning,
She was
the
shouting.
cats were meowing all the time.
All the time.
Okay.
And they wakened me up. Okay, next, Mr. Maher. Present perfect tense. Miss Ula.
Okay, with the present perfect tense, we have to pay attention to have and past
Can
participle.
we wake Miss Sana up before we continue? Yeah, okay. Please.
Yes, please,
And-
Mr.
and
Sana.
here
wake up.
also we can say, while we were studying or
was
explaining, she was sleeping. So this
Yes.
is a live example from our session, huh?
Really? It's yours.
Please.
Wake up.
Please.
The present perfect tense. In the affirmative form, we use subject, have or has, plus verb 3, plus the complement. I've just eaten lunch. She has almost finished cleaning the house. Here, like in the progressive tenses, the perfect tenses contain its own helping verbs.
Miss Ula read something. She made me
Where is
have
the
a
comment
lot.
of Jan now? We are
she-
reading
First of
the
all, Jan
comment.
is a male.
A male.
Yes.
He says, I thought I am the only one with a good English in Syria. And he changed his mind now, maybe?
Yes, because we have good English based
Yeah.
on his
Yeah.
words.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
Jan.
you, Jan.
Yeah. In the question form, we use have or has at the beginning, plus the subject and the verb 3. For example, have you eaten lunch? Has he written a letter? Number 3, in the negative form, we use subject have or has plus not plus
No.
verb 3.
If I want you, Miss Sana, to ask about has he written a letter, and I want you to ask about a letter, what would you do?
What?
What has he written? So we delete a letter,
Yeah.
and we put a question word
At the beginning of the-
corresponding to the
Yeah.
dropped answer. A letter is a thing, we use what? If I'm going to ask about people, for example, he has written a letter to his aunt. and I want to ask about his aunt, I drop his aunt and I put who at the beginning. Who has he written a letter to?
Two,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay. The negative form is simply we put not after the auxiliary.
Yeah.
Next, Ms. Samaher,
The use.
the use. The use of the present perfect tense is very important. Mr. Numair wants to speak, but I will give you the floor.
Okay, no, it's okay.
Yeah, no.
No, it's your turn.
It's not a problem.
Because we
my
took it
turn.
from
Where is
her
my
and gave it to
turn?
Sanat to wake
When
her
we
up.
talk
is my
about
turn.
something that happened in the past without mentioning the time, this is present perfect. Because when we mention the time, it's
Thank
simple
you so
past.
much for saying this. So the simple past tense and the present perfect tense
They
are
have
the
things-
same.
no, it's,
The
not
difference
exact.
is in the simple past we know the time.
We know the time.
But
in the present perfect
we don't know the time.
No, the time, no specific time.
Yeah, no specific
And
time.
sometimes-
That's how we could distinguish as
Yes.
students. If we have time reference, we
It's
choose
simple
the
past.
simple
Simple
past.
past.
No time reference.
Present
That's present
Present
perfect.
And sometimes we have results. When we have results in the present, again, this is present perfect.
Thank you very much, because if we are talking about someone dead, only simple past
Simple
is
past,
used,
yes.
even if we
No
don't have
specific time.
The specific time.
specific time.
Yes.
Because I can't say Shakespeare has written.
Has
Of course,
written.
now it means he's
He's
still
dead.
alive.
He's dead.
Yes.
Wrote.
Thank you.
So he-
Continue.
Shakespeare.
So,
wrote.
example, somebody has painted the door. We can use words like already, almost, just yet, which
These are
indicate
keywords.
indicates
already,
that things are
almost.
not finished.
Yes.
When they are not finished, we use present perfect. I have just eaten lunch. She has almost finished cleaning the house. My father hasn't come yet. Has your father come yet? For example, we can notice that has your father come?
Is a
It's
question.
a normal question, but hasn't your father come yet? Its expression or expresses surprise.
Surprise. Yeah. When
Usually,
we use a negative question,
negative question.
it shows surprise.
Surprise. I have already written an email. So these are examples that indicate when something is mentioned in the past without time reference,
Next,
present
Ms.
perfect,
Samaher.
and when we have a result, again present perfect.
Okay, again, next. Sorry, before that, Ms. Samaher, number two is important. When an action
Started in the past and continued without stop until the present and may continue in the future. In this case,
That's
we
present.
use
we use
since
since
and point in that since I was a child. So it
Point
started
in
in the
time.
past and it continued till now.
and for with the
Duration of time,
of time.
for 2 years, for 3 years, for 25 years. I have played the piano since I was 10. So since I was 10
Is a
till
specific
now,
time, yes.
till now I'm playing the piano.
Yeah.
She has driven her car for 3 years. Again, when
Started 3 years ago,
and she's continued
until
to
now.
the present. When something has never happened before, have you ever eaten sushi? I've never eaten. So it's about something before now.
We use ever in the question,
question.
and
Never
never
in
in
the
the
answer.
answer.
She has never seen
negative.
snow, we use never.
But a question here, teacher. Can we use the present perfect continuous using since and for?
The same function, yes. The present,
Yeah.
when we use since and for, the present perfect and the present perfect continuous are the same when we have since and for. Thank you very much for saying this. Yes.
Okay, the last one, when an action has happened many times until the present, so it's repeated,
Repeated.
till now.
Yeah.
We have had 4 tests so far.
So the test happened once, again,
Again,
a
over
third
and
time.
over. So it's
when we
repeated.
want to mention something happened many times until now,
We use
the
present perfect simple.
perfect, but we have a key word which is until now.
Until now, so
So far,
up
up
to
to
now.
now.
Next, Ms. Samaher. Compare, sorry, before that, Ms. Samaher, we have a comparison between the verb go and been. He has been shopping and he has gone shopping.
Been, it means he went and returned.
So when someone went and returned, we say
Have
he
you
has
been?
Then.
If he's still there,
I can ask gone. Have
so
you gone?
can we ask someone, have you gone to Britain?
No, he's with you, so
So when
It
we
can
want
be.
to ask someone who is in front of us,
you cannot use gone.
we cannot say, have you gone?
Has your mother gone shopping? So
Yeah.
it's okay
So
because
you
you
say, have
cannot.
you been to England? Have you been
Okay.
means you went and returned because you are here. Now next, Mr.
And
Man,
sometimes we can say, for example, my grandfather, I'm sorry, has gone.
Passed away.
That's
Passed away.
will not come again.
I hope you didn't mention that because we live the situation and we
All the
want to
time.
get out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Present perfect continuous. Mr. Numi.
Yes, for the affirmative form, always we use the subject, have, has, been, verb ing, and the complement. For example, we say, I have been waiting for an hour, and he has been teaching since 1999. So the question also, we have here the auxiliary verb or the helping verb, have and has. So we put them at the beginning of the sentence. After that, the subject, have or has, subject, been, verb ing, always complement, and with a question mark. Have you been teaching since 1999? And if I want to ask about since, and here teacher always some students make mistakes. Sometimes they ask with when underline, let's say the answer is since 1999. So here we should use how long, because we are asking about a period.
When goes with the simple past tense.
Yes, so how long has she been teaching? The negative form, always we put not after the helping verb, which is have not or has not. Now, going to the use.
Next, Ms. Samaher, the use. First, to show that the action, Ms. Sana, before you
Yes.
go to sleep, please.
Thank you. To
my
show that
turn.
the action has started in the past, has continued to the present, and may continue in the future. We use since and for
And
here
we
in this
said
situation.
no difference between the present perfect and the present
perfect
perfect
continuous.
When we use since
But
or
when in exams, we need the student to use the present perfect continuous, we put extra hint, like the whole week, or all morning.
Yes.
all
Without
plus
a
time.
stop.
day.
But even if we put it and the student
Make
used
mistake.
the present perfect, it is accepted.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
For example, I've been waiting for an hour. He has been teaching since 1999. To talk about a past activity that has a present result.
And usually in the exam we have this.
Yeah.
A present result about a past activity.
Yeah.
You are tired. Have you been running?
have been
Your eyes are red. Have you
Have you
been
been
crying?
crying?
Yeah.
So when we have a result
result.
of
Yeah.
something took some
Period of
time,
time.
led to this result, we use the
Here we
present
have the
perfect
following
continuous.
examples. He's tired because he has been running.
Mm-hmm.
Her hair
So
is
it's a
wet
result.
because she has been swimming.
Can we say here in this example, he is tired because he was running?
He was running.
Yeah. So,
No,
for
we
example,
can't.
we can face these questions. So, can
I
we say
don't
that
think
he is tired because he was running? So, to use the simple past instead of present perfect continuous.
Actually, when we use the past tenses, the simple past or the past continuous, these are about something finished in the past. We don't have connection between the simple past and the
The
present.
Cause and the
Present, yes.
result, yes.
This is what when we talked about difference between simple past and the present perfect. The present perfect has connection with the present. He was running maybe a year ago. We don't have connection between
To
the
be
past
tired now.
and the present.
Yes.
That's why we say when the result is now, we use the perfect.
And the perfect,
Present.
yes.
Because the perfect simple or the perfect continuous, they have connection with the present. So he is tired now. He was running, does not have connection with the present. The past is finished.
I see.
Even if it is not finished, it doesn't have connection. Our example, if you remember, Mr. Numair, he was reading a book on the plane. It's not now, and not 2
In the
minutes
past.
ago. It's in
Maybe
the past.
last year, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
So when we have a present result, it should be the present perfect or present perfect continuous.
Thank you,
Because
teacher.
only these two tenses have connection between
To
the
the
past
present.
and the
The
present.
present, yes.
Thank
exactly.
you very much for making it clear.
No, no,
to
but
us.
just these are questions. Just I faced. Yeah, I've been asked by my students.
Are you
Can we-
satisfied now?
Yeah, yeah, of course, teacher. I know the
Thank
answer,
you,
but
Mr.
just
Majid.
I know
Thank
that
you.
you know the
explain.
Yeah.
Of course, you're my
So,
teacher.
If you know the answer and you asked me, you're testing me.
No,
then.
no, no. It's not about testing. It's about just showing the
Okay.
question and
I'm
then
ju-
the
I'm
answer.
just kidding.
You
I'm
are
just
our
kidding.
Okay,
Teacher.
let's move to the adverbs that accompany this
Yes,
tense.
let's not waste time. Yes, please.
Yes, which is lately, recently, all day, all morning, all week with the tense.
Thank you
Now-
so much. Next, Mr. Maher. When we use all plus time, we mentioned
Yeah.
this many times. Next.
Okay.
the present, the past perfect.
Past perfect continuous.
Actually, the past perfect and the simple past are the same.
the same.
But when one action happens before the other, to show what happened first, we use the past perfect
perfect.
tense. Miss Hanadi, you're going
Past
to speak
perfect
now instead of-
affirmative form subject had verb 3 and the complement of the sentence. I had eaten breakfast before I went to school.
Thank you.
We put had with all the pronoun because we are
is
talking
past.
about past. So I had eaten breakfast, the first action before I went to school, the second action.
Yes.
Question form had subject, verb 3 and the complement, and then we put the WH word. Negative form we put not after had. I hadn't
Now, the question, Miss Hanadi, had
excuse
he
me.
eaten breakfast
Before he went to school?
If I'm going to ask about breakfast,
Yes.
what can I do? I delete breakfast
And say what?
and say,
What?
had he
What
eaten,
had he eaten
or
before
what
he went
had
to school?
done?
Or what he had
What
done
had he?
before he went to school.
Thanks. The
Negative
we
form we
use
put not after had. I hadn't eaten breakfast before I went to school.
Next, Ms. Samah. I keep saying next. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. The use. Complete.
The use of past perfect tense when we talk about two actions in the past with a period of time between them. But we put that happened first in the past perfect tense and that happened second in simple past tense. I had eaten breakfast before I went to school. The first action, I had eaten
We have
breakfast.
a notice here, yes.
Yes.
When
The
we
second
have
action I want to
When we have succession, I mean by
Telling a
succession,
story, for example.
one following the other without time between
sequence.
them. Sequence of
sequence,
actions.
yes. We
I
put
will
all
put
in the
all
simple
in the
in the
simple
simple past.
I woke up, I got dressed, to brush
Yes.
my teeth.
When we
Yes.
talk about an action happened before a specific past time, before sunrise, the doctor had performed the operation.
Like by the time.
Yes.
Before sunrise, like by the time the doctor, by the time the sun rose, the doctor
doctor
had
had.
performed. Before sunrise. So we use the past perfect before a specific time. Next, Mr. Maher.
When an action never happened before a specific past time, before she went to Lebanon last February, Suha had never seen snow. Last February is a specific past time.
And before
We
that,
use simple past and then had never seen snow in the past perfect. With third conditional sentence, if I had known the answer, I would have told you.
Yes.
Past perfect, and then I will continue. Would have
verb 3.
verb 3.
Next. Past perfect continuous tense. Miss Ula.
Okay, affirmative form. Again, it's almost the same, but with continuous form. Subject had been, verb with ing and the complement of the sentence. The police had been looking for the criminal for 2 years. With the question form, we start with, we invert, of course. So we start with the auxiliary verb, which is had in this case. After that, we use the subject, been, verb, ing, and complement of the sentence. How long had the police been looking for the criminal? Before they caught him last week. With the negative form, we use not after the auxiliary verb, which is had in this case. So subject had not been, ing with the complement of the sentence. She hadn't been waiting for a long time when he found a taxi.
Thank you. The use, Ms. Maher, yes, to show that
To show that an action was in progress before another action. So it was in progress. So again, we have two actions.
The police had been
looking for the criminal for 2 years before they caught him last week. To talk about a past activity with a past result, he was tired. Why? Because he had been running.
The
So
same as we said about
the same, but this
present
one is in progress because it needs time. Her hair was wet because she had been swimming.
And in this case, Mr. Numer's exercise is okay.
Exactly, yes.
So he was running and he
No,
was
I can say
tired.
that,
He was
yes.
tired because he was running is accepted.
Yes.
He
needs
had
time.
because the past continuous and the past perfect continuous are the same, but we use the past perfect continuous to show that this happened first.
Exactly.
It is clear. Even in the past, in the simple past and past perfect, sometimes we can use the past simple in both parts if it's clear. When we have before, I had breakfast before I went to school, is correct. Instead of I had eaten,
Okay.
I had breakfast before, because before tells us which happened to us, but we are not going to confuse the students.
Exactly.
Let's move, Ms. Samaher. I think we don't have much time. We have will and going to. We just have 5 minutes. I will talk, if you allow me,
Please,
quickly.
Of course.
Difference between will and going to. We use will and be going to
Prediction.
talk about prediction
Future.
and intention.
Intention.
If we start with prediction, if we predict the future because we think, we use will. If we predict because we see an evidence, we use going to. Examples. I think every man will have a plane after 50 years. I think. But if I see someone looking at the mobile, walking, and there is a hole in front of him,
He's going to fall.
I say he's going to fall
Yeah.
in the hole. Now, this is for prediction.
Prediction.
I think
Intention.
will, I see
Going
going
to.
to. We come to intention.
Intention.
Intention. We have a decision to do something.
The bell is ringing, for example.
If the decision is made at the
At the
time of
moment.
speaking, we use will. The phone is ringing, the phone, sorry,
I'll
the
answer
phone,
it.
I will answer.
I will.
The door is knocking,
I'll
I will
open it.
open. I dropped a book, I will
I'll
pick it up for you. I don't have money, I
I'll
will
borrow
give
some.
you some. So the decision made at the time of speaking. If I talk about something planned before, I is going to. If we want to make it clear, if I'm hungry now, I say, I'm hungry, I will make a
I will
sandwich.
make a sandwich.
I go to the kitchen, someone says, what do you want? There, I'm going to talk about a decision I
Made
made
before.
I make-
before.
So I'm
Even
going to
if
have.
it is just 2 minutes ago,
In the
I say,
past.
I'm going
I'm
to
going
make
to
a
a
sandwich.
sandwich.
At the end of this session, I want to thank my colleagues in the studio, Miss Ula Al-Mu'i, English Language Supervisor,
Thank you.
Tartus Directorate, Mr. from the right side, Numer, English teacher in a private school,
Thank you very much.
Miss Hanadi Haddad, English Language Supervisor, Tartus Directorate,
Thank you very much.
Miss Sana, Miss
Miss, not
Sana
Mr.
Ismail, English Language Teacher, Damascus
very much.
Countryside Directorate. And I want to thank the directors of this session, Miss Samaher
Maher.
Thank
Is
you,
it
Ms.
Al Ali?
Maher. Thank you.
Thank you.
and Miss Lilian Ali. She was with the first part. And I want to thank Mr. Mahmoud Hamid, the director, the manager of the platform. And of course, I want to thank our boss in the platform, Dr. Darim Tabba.
Yes.
Big thanks to the minister. He supports the work very well, Mr. Imad Al-Azab. And thanks from me, Majid Ogherli,
Thank you,
the
Mr.
senior
Majid.
supervisor and coordinator of English language. Hope you do well in the exam. Thank you so
We
much,
wish.
and bye-bye.
Thank you.